All right. Hello, everybody. This is DrEnderPickles back with episode 2 of the DrEnderPickles Show. Straight from one of my mini dupe stashes. I have with us today Mr. Drew Bookman. Drew, would you introduce yourself?
What's up, new fags? I'm Drew Bookman.
Yes, me and Drew have a long, convoluted history, but I'm going to ask you about that later. For now, I want to
Yeah,
start
for
off.
sure.
I want to start off with the first questions. One thing about you that I really like is you have a lot of controversy with James and the owners of Constantium and whatnot. What exactly are your views on James Russell's?
Oh man, straight to the point, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Tell
I
me
guess it has to go back.
raw, unfiltered. I want to hear it all.
Yeah, this goes back way back on like 2014 2B2T. So basically, I remember at that point I was on 2B2T for like 2 years now, and wandering spawn on one of the many incursions, I come across a few players. Those players are Dr. Cash, Clyde, and James Russells. So I'm just going to fast forward to it. James Russells was one of the Russells that joined 2B2T around the 2013-2014 timeline. And yeah, he was one of the most obnoxious ones.
Yeah.
Wait, can I like pause really quick right here?
Yeah, sure.
All right, my dog's fucking barking. All right, back to business.
Okay. Anything else you want to add on to that?
Yeah, so basically, Clyde, Dr. Cash, James, and I each had like our own little base going on. It wasn't anything official. It was just mostly like me ordering these kids around. But what I did not know was at the same time, James Russell's was sipping the Kool-Aid that Shido86 brought to him. From that point on, I don't know what happened between him and Clyde, but I guess that impacted what happened to me and him. Basically, since that point on, he's been super jealous of me. He's been nothing but yeah, basically like envious, rude, always trying to snake his way into any projects that I'm doing.
Mm. Now you were mentioning to
But
me earlier that he docks people and that he was sending
yeah,
stuff in your Discord.
that was actually super creepy, super disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know
He,
why. I don't know why I was sending Club Penguin pictures in your Discord.
yeah, cheese pizza pictures in my Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Everybody knows
got a ton
pepperoni's better.
of, yeah, for sure, right? So I had a ton of people telling me that Jooms was doing this in his Discord. Like him, Hope, Peter, and a bunch of other people were in on this distribution of cheese pizza. So I just see people like reporting them to the FBI. It was mostly hilarious. And that was it. Like, I mean, sure, it would have been funny if their Discord would have gotten taken down. But at the same time, it's kind of disgusting how they resorted to doing that.
Yeah, you guys heard it here first. Uh, Peter the pedo confirmed. That's where James got it all from. So that's why you boycott Fit MC.
Yeah, boycott fit. I mean, Peter the pedo.
Yes, Peter the pedo.
Silent pedophile,
All right.
millimeter Peter. I got a ton of other manlet jokes about Peter and steroid jokes.
Good. Okay. Well, save them for the end of the show, and then I want to hear them all just like spammed out. I just want a montage of Peter the pedo jokes to end the show.
Yeah, I got to show these new children that Silent Peter file was actually irrelevant until 2015.
and still is irrelevant. He will always be irrelevant, just like all the other Valks. It's all
So,
biased
oh,
history. Oh
actually,
wait,
I'd
I
like to
gotta get.
talk about Valk and
I would like
Asgard.
for you too. Actually, before the show, Jared sent me a list of stuff that I should ask you about because I'm very uninformed about anything on 2B2T. So
That is very true.
I thought I'd ask the expert himself, Jared 2013, what I should ask you. So yeah, Valko's on that list. So I want to hear all about your history in Valkyria.
At first I thought Valk was nothing special. I mean, I already had a ton of other like big bases with Shido 86 and Pyrobyte, but at that time we also invited a ton of new people and a bunch of other groups. So, I mean, to me it wasn't anything that special. The only major turning point in that base was inviting a bunch of irrelevant new Jews who literally did not know each other, don't know who they got invited by, but they would go around stealing, blowing people up, killing them, anything new Jews would do. So I got fed up with it, brought it up to Shido. He never did anything about it. But the moment I like dumpster some new Jews, I get run out of my own base.
Mm, all
Funny
right.
enough, the second time they invited me back, same thing happened. Get dumpstered by new Jews, and I dumpster them back. Apparently, that's not a good thing to do.
I want to hear more about about Sato himself. Sato himself, living in his favela. What can you elaborate on that?
Oh man, there's so much dank dance around Shido 86. Like, first of all, the only reason he came to 2B2T is because he was kicked out and rejected from a Lord of the Rings RP server on Minecraft. I don't know what it was called, but I remember like a Reddit post someone shared about Barithor Gonshok on some Lord of the Rings roleplay site, and they had a Minecraft and a bunch of other like game servers set up for role playing. And his character was one of the few that was rejected. Like they allowed 20
Wow.
other Aspies, like a bunch of other Aspies, like a bunch of their stupid little role plays. And I mean, I guess that's what brought him here. He's been a pretty shitty character until like, I mean, a player until like I really got to meet him in 2013.
You see, I always thought Sato's skin was a furry dragon. I didn't know it was from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, no, it evolved from like a Lord of the Rings like black guy into this like dumb weeaboo samurai armor guy. It's pretty autistic. I can't believe he actually did an evolution of the Sato 86 skin.
Yeah,
By the way, you
he's
can find those two links still on the 2B2T Reddit, Barithor Gonshok, and the one about evolution of his skins.
I think that leads to another good topic, the 2B2T subreddit itself. Now, I found out earlier, a month ago, when I found out about your Discord, I found out that you were banned from the 2B2T subreddit. Can you explain why you were banned? Because I'm also banned from the 2B sub. I had to make a new account.
I don't know what was up with that. Like, I noticed a bunch of old pals also got banned from the Reddit, and it was just something super strange. You weren't allowed to like voice your opinion if you were like from 2011 to 2014. One of the first people I know who got banned was XOXP, and from then on, I just saw less and less and less people I recognized. It turned into a bunch of like new retards who circle jerked a shitty dead horse meme. Like, I recognize those blocks. I mean, that shit is not funny after the thousandth time.
Yeah,
And
it
of
really
course, it's
isn't.
like, it's always some retarded kids who are going out and sharing their like 10 subscriber, 5 view YouTube of, I don't know, like escaping 2B2T for the 100th time. It's just evolved into like this shitty circle jerk of like idiots.
Yeah, it's the same post over and over and over again. And there's really, you
Basically,
don't recognize anybody on there anymore. Everybody on there is new.
I mean, occasionally I'll see like one of Benito Tortellini's retarded posts, and I'll just like downvote it. But
A
Otherwise,
lot of the
like,
stuff I see is like Jack the Ripper complaining about Sniper's art,
oh man,
and
as much as I hate Jack the Ripper,
I
his
know,
band's
right? I don't even
comments
know.
are hilarious.
I don't even know the guy, and he just like sounds cancerous.
I mean, he's pretty cancer, but yeah, when it's fire against fire, fight fire with fire. Fuck, I said it wrong. Oh
Mm.
well. Yeah, I'm banned from 2B2T from insulting Housemaster as Rushers bitch. And basically, yeah, Jared clarified that in the last video that they are his bitch, basically.
Yes, yes. Jared said that he's the king of 2B2T. So technically we all are. We all are under Jared. The cult of Jared.
And I'd also like to expand on what Jared was talking about, the KGB like scandal where Shido flipped out about.
Oh yeah, yeah. You told me about that too. I'd love for you to talk about it on the show. I think everybody else needs to hear about it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like stuff that people bring up King's Landing and Kinograd base, but they really don't know anything about it aside from like the Rusher video that he did. Um, I mean, King's Landing was fun and stuff, but like it was dumpstered by Clyde and Tristan, so nothing really important happened there. But the next thing, KGB, like the base that every relevant legendary old pal, like that's the place they were at. And it got to a point where we had some of the best players, the most players. And I mean, eventually Tyranny co-opted it because Bran Illen, um, one of the creators of KGB, actually like was part of it at the time. He was like one of the founding members. So he tells us, hey, if we do this and we make sure we lay low, we'll be able to get World Edit and a bunch of other crazy stuff. And Jack the Ripper, he actually had access to some of this stuff. And Parthicus too. They leaked it to Shido86. And this is where we get this is where we get all these like people freaking out about like, or not people, but like just Sato freaking out about exploits. Like, we've been backdoored. Oh no, don't use any clients, you guys. Don't use anything. We have been backdoored and all this like stupid stuff. And eventually our base codes get leaked by some unknown favela monkey. I know it was Sato. I mean, Sato, Parthicus, and Jack had it out for most of us at the base. But who would have thought, you know?
Who'd have thought?
I mean, we did have some of the best items there, some of the best exploits.
Yeah, that must have been a crazy time to be on the server. I mean, I was on, but I was
That was like
nowhere near that. I
that
was
was
the
the
opposite.
golden peak of 2B2T before it went down the drain like 3 months later.
I was the polar opposite of anything relevant
Yeah,
happening on the server.
we have all these brain dead new kids, like all these rushers that apparently had a hard time escaping spawn, that had forests and a bunch of other farms everywhere. And there was even people that went out to rescue them if they still found it hard enough.
People don't even know how bad it was back then to get out of spawn. Like it used to be so much more difficult than it is now. There weren't nearly as many, spawn farms and spawn bases around spawn as there are today.
That is very, and it's hilarious because when I first started, I had to deal with one spot. Like, people spawned in one area of spawn, and it was constantly guarded or obbied in or like lavaed, so you'd immediately die on respawn and just keep dying and dying. And if you did somehow manage to escape with a combat log invincibility thing, people would still camp it and you'd die anyway, so there was no point.
Yep, and the
Eventually, House
oh,
got tired of all those messages and just like opened spawn to like 500, 500. But there was a couple of times when like spawn radius was like 300 or something ridiculously tiny, to the point where it was easy to camp.
the lag was horrible too. I don't think people realize that the TPS would almost
Yeah.
never be above what 5.
Yeah, people would constantly make scams for other like lag machines. I mean, there was no regulation on it, and I mean, of course, it was like a 20-person server back then, so no one would really do shit if like people lagged the server. There were a couple of times when the server was taken offline by people who were like out to crash the server indefinitely, but eventually it was patched. In fact, actually, now that I think about it, House is pretty incompetent. There was 1 month in 2013, like November or December, where he was fixing some retarded little exploit. I don't know what it was. It was really insignificant. But the server was down for an entire month. And it got to a point where we were afraid we could not like host 2B2T anymore. He'd just like take it offline.
Hmm. Yeah, but yeah, there were so many TPS problems back then that I didn't even start. Like I got on 2B2T once, and then I joined 3B3T, which is a nice segue because that is where I met you for the first time ever.
Yeah, I remember playing with you and Canes on it.
Yes, yes, that was the golden era. That's when I met.
Yeah, I think that's when one of the points on 2B2T kept going down because, of course, House had to fix lag and he would not bring the server up or people just crashed it. But yeah, it was a server made by Tristan
and
and I
Pyro.
forget who else.
It was
Yeah, Tristan and
yeah, Tristan and
Pyrovite, and
Pyro.
we were afraid because it was basically their IP logger. So of
That's what I
course
was
we
saying in
didn't
the
play
last
well.
one. Yeah, yeah. That I said yeah, it was probably an IP logger, and
For many people, it was. I
Jared
know
didn't
Jack the
answer.
Ripper.
Said he kind of gave a giggle, so that can be taken either way. But
Yeah, I know Jack the Ripper for sure was targeted because I mean, he was like a fucking dipshit. I hated him. Everyone hated him unless you were like Sato or any of the other Valk members.
yeah, we had our own little group on that server. It was me, you, Canes, Bran, and then some random girl gamer that like never played again past
Oh yeah,
3B3T.
Layla 55. I still remember her. She used to
I thought it was
advertise.
Lorne.
Oh yeah, Lorelai too. I think they were the same player, but Layla 55 used to advertise on 4chan.
Yeah, but that person was on. I never saw them again past 3B, and I think we also grouped up with Victor at one point, and
Yeah, Victor
I think
96.
we all know how that ended up going forward on 2B. Me messaging Victor did not he didn't get my satire. Took it too literally. I don't think those screenshots exist anymore though.
Yeah, after that, I remember you invited me to Shenandoah because
Yeah,
that
explain
was
your
the time
side.
when I
That's yeah.
dumpstered it. I had
Ex-
dumpstered Valk at that point. So you
explain
wanted
your
me to dumpster Shenandoah?
wait, really?
Yeah, I mean, you were like 12 or 13 at that point, so like you also were out to get Sato.
I didn't think that
I don't remember
I
what
didn't
Shen had to do with it though.
I didn't think that I wanted that. But I can't honestly remember a lot of stuff from back then. I
I
do
mean,
I do remember, inviting you to Shen or getting you invited to Shen. I don't know how that all worked out. And then afterwards when it got raided, the blame got pinned on me, but I still remember going to Sleepy's Hollow and you being there too. I don't know. It's a bunch of discombobulated stuff, and every time somebody says something, it kind of comes back to me after a while. But
yeah, the Legion people were pretty cool. I
oh yeah,
appreciated how they knew you leaked the cords to me to dumpster it, but I actually helped them protect it against people because at that point it was already griefed twice. They were in the process of rebuilding it for the third time, and I helped them protect it against any invaders.
yeah. I think the
So
point that really made me snap with Legion was when they decided to side with Sato and not bring me on board, kind of
yeah,
leave me out of the group.
I that's why I came to be with Valk again for the second time.
I think that's one of the only similarities between us is that we both very much dislike anybody related to the Valks. So,
I mean, I dislike them because they were pulling the shit where they didn't care if you were an old member. All they wanted to do was have like a ton of members. I mean, if you look at like Fenrir, Asgard 1 and 2, I mean, those bases had like a ton of new fags. No one remembers who they are. And that's all they boasted. Hey, we have 50 members. Hey, we have the most members of any group. But if you look at it, most of them were incompetent rejects that were paid to come to the base, and no one ever saw them again.
All right.
Which,
So,
which
right.
is actually pretty funny. This ties into like Constantium too. I always bring it up.
Yeah.
It's crazy how identical it is. So Asgard 1 and 2 and Fenrir had a lot of problems with the members since no one really knew each other. People would constantly bicker and fight. It got to the point where many of the members actually like destroyed the base, stole items, and ran off with stuff. And to hold the bases together, James, Zarviar, Shadow 86, and I forget who else at that point was also like a founding member. I think it was like Hinder JD. But they would try to pin the blame on Ormonger, who at that time did not really like play. It was like 2014 at that time, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, I remember good old Ormonger. I don't think anybody can really forget his whole situation.
He
That
was
was
one of my favorite base members ever. The first time I encountered him was him removing swastikas at the second Valk resurrection. I found his little nice house on the hill, but he actually ran away from me. And we did eventually become base mates, but it was just so strange that he also had it out for Valkyrians.
so okay. I want to go down this list that Jared sent because it's got some stuff I don't know about that I'd love to be informed about from you. So let's see. From the top, it said Valkyria, ask him about Sato, Pyro. I don't think we've got to that yet. So tell me more about Pyrobite because I don't know a lot about Pyrobite. Just that he owned 3B and that he showed up at Shenandoah one day. So I want to know more about your relationship with Pyrobite, obviously, because
Pyrobite was a really strange one. I really appreciated that he was my member, like one of my closest friends, allies when I first started 2B2T. This was like 2012, if I remember correctly, like the last month, December, somewhere around November when I first like started talking to him. I was actually introduced to him by Kinarana as one of the biggest exploiters who had a ton of hacks, knew how to do a ton of different stuff. So eventually I get to Sato's base after he invited me to go to it. I was originally gonna dumpster Sato and just like have it be the end of it, but I was really impressed. So I stayed and I eventually invited Pyrobite, and we were basically the triumvirate. No one would ever fuck with us, mostly because me and Pyro. But Pyro 2 was also new, so he really wasn't safe being with Sato. I had to convince him for us to like group together at Anatolia. But eventually things fell into place and we all became friends. What I really thought was cool is that he would always give us like these hacked items, like 32k swords. He would give us wither skulls at the time, which were very new. Um, yeah, basically, he would do anything for us.
uh, it's interesting you mentioned Anatola because that's also on the list. It said ask him about Anatola. So tell me more about that base, what it stood for.
Yeah, Anatolia was originally, well, it wasn't even named anything when Sato first built it. I was actually I actually thought it was funny to dumpster this nerd, this Brazilian nerd who kept shit posting in chat. He kept begging for people, hey, does anyone want to build a base with me? Hey, I need base members. Please message me for cord. At first, I thought this was like a joke. I was like, there's no way this guy's just asking for base members in public chat. So I was curious. I asked him for the chords because, of course, I wanted to destroy him. Turned out he was actually a pretty okay builder. I mean, all he did was build giant like cobblestone castles at that time. But yeah, I decided not to destroy his base after all the walking I had to do. But yeah, Anatolia came to be after I invited Pyrobite. We were also going to invite Kinarana, but I don't know what happened. I don't think Sato wanted him, or Kinarana just thought it was too far to walk. But it was our own little far base with a ton of duped items, actually just a ton of items, a ton of old builds of ours. We had a blaze grinder when they were first new, just like it was incredible for 2012, 2013.
So I want to also ask you. I'm just gonna kind of going through this list now because it's really helping me out. Your involvement in the Valkyria Grief.
First time or the second time?
I wasn't specific, so I'm assuming both.
Yeah, basically, I was just mad at Sato how he would never stand up for anyone. I mean, I was one of his closest friends, and he let new Jews like constantly kill and steal from everyone. I would always bring it up. A bunch of other people brought it up too, but there was never any response from them. It was Cold Wave, Hinder, JD, and Sato who ran the place basically. But as a founding member of Valkyria, it felt pretty bad that I had no idea who these people were, but they were running around killing people. So I just dumpstered them, like found some new Jew houses, withered them. I mean, it was pretty contained, but I don't know what everyone was complaining about that I destroyed it. And yeah, the second time, I don't remember too much about it. I gained their trust again after Shenandoah. Same thing happens, and I just destroyed them. That time intentionally.
All right, so next on the list is asking you about 2016 and the Camping Rusher. Uh, what happened during that period with you? Because obviously it's relevant if it's on the list.
Um, well, at that time, it's been 2 months since KJB fell, so a bunch of us, like old pals, had nowhere to go. We had pulled all our resources into that base, and it was gone. So when we were flooded with all these retarded new kids, I mean, we all came together. It didn't matter if we were from Olympus, from like Sleepy's Hollow, if we were enemies for such a long time. It didn't matter. We came together. We can't spawn, but there was too many new kids, and we could not handle it. It's not even with like our schedules. I mean, it got to a point where we scheduled groups to camp different portals to trap people, to destroy every source of food or wood. But yeah, it all fell apart, and we couldn't really do much about it. It's pretty sad, actually, now that we have this invasion.
Yeah, everything changed in 2016, and looking back now with all the information that's been released regarding that, it really is kind of sad how House almost sold out something that was, so many people cared about.
I mean, at that point, really, no one cared about 2B2T. Numbers were starting to drop after KGB, so people were just waiting for the server to go down. But we got this resurgence of players, and I guess I have to thank Yellowstone Joe for making that post on our Minecraft. Kind of screwed us over as a server
Yeah,
and destroyed the server's identity.
was that necessarily a good thing or a bad thing? All these new players coming in, even if they are, not exactly the target demographic that we wanted for the server.
Damn, that's kind of a hard one, you know? Like, at one hand, we have some of these people like, shit, I can only name one, like Sun Wukong, oh, and Zuzlin. But everyone else is basically cancer. They've turned this server into a kit PvP server with factions where people sell each other out for real life money.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
what
an
I found
online
crazy.
Lego game, which is like
Yeah.
crazy to think. It's these kids' livelihoods, you know?
Yeah, every time somebody like spurgs out at me for something that happened on 2B or 9B because I play that too, I have to remind myself and I have to remind them this is just like an online block game. Like you are making such a big deal out of something like this. Yeah, I get that you spend a lot of time playing this, but bigger picture here, this is just a game.
Yeah, but what's really strange is when we had dupe stashes, we would constantly grind for them. There was no such thing as buying dupe stashes from people,
Yeah,
but
and now there's people buying 32K weapons. Like there's whole
yeah,
discords surrounded around that.
they have their people. They have people like move stuff for them. They pay people to do that, and then they get surprised when all their items are missing. It's like, yeah, all they do is just like pay for in-game items. What's the point about getting mad over it? Sure, you lost like $5 in allowance money, but like, what's it really going to do in the long run? You know?
Yeah, and I've seen some of those 32Ks getting sold for like $100, which
Yeah,
is
you can't
insane
even
to me.
use those
But
items.
yeah, you can't even use
People
them,
use
and
like they just peek in chests, and that's all they do with them.
mm, I think they
It's
think
just
that if
one of
they
those
if
things, you
they
know?
if they get those weapons, that they'll instantly become relevant,
Yeah, it's
instantly become a
just
big
retarded.
player. Yeah. So
I
I
mean,
want.
I know for a fact Sato used a 32K sword to kill me quite a few times when I had Jared 2014. Um, this was like the third incursion that I actually incited, which is pretty funny. Um, Shido86 basically found out that I was using Jared 2014 as an alt account to turn Wrath into a scamp machine and basically lag the server. So he finds me, he immediately kills me. There's no end crystals at the time. So I knew something was up when I get one shotted by a diamond sword.
I tried to get Sato to come in for the show today because I thought, ooh, that'd be some juicy drama.
Yeah,
Would
I
add to
mean,
the
I
view
would
count.
love having him.
But I got no response. Sadly, I don't think Sato likes me that much.
Yeah, I don't think you're a big player enough for him.
Hey, now
Or
you better
maybe
watch out. I am the one who deems people big player on this server. I invented that.
you're right. You
I buy
probably can't
right.
afford internet in the favelas.
Exactly.
Or he probably had his computer stolen. Who knows? His 2003 Gateway's laptop is probably super expensive there.
Really? I thought he made it out of twigs and mud.
Quite possible, actually.
Yeah, there's these channels on YouTube like Primitive Survival or something. I just like to imagine that's what Sato does when he needs anything.
They actually have a feature there. How to play 2B2T primitive survival.
All natural. But I want to ask you now, why you moved to Constantium? Because you play there all the time now. You no longer play 2B. What was the event that finally showed you, oh man, I need to change servers? 2B has just gone so downhill.
Um, there was a point when 2B2T queue got so huge and botted that it was a 500-person wait time. And you had a chance of disconnecting in it, and there was no vet queue. It was like that time of limbo
Mm,
where there was no vet queue,
I remember that.
and I did not have paid queue. So I was basically fucked. There was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, I remember that. It was right before they had vet queue. That's when I joined 9B.
Yeah, it
9B.
was a pretty good idea to bot during that time. Like, you just fill up all these spots for players,
Yeah,
and no one could play, no one could ever join.
and even when VetQ came back, like I was so invested in another server that I didn't even want to play 2B anymore because it felt
Yeah,
pointless.
yeah. At that point, I transitioned over to like Constantium. I was actually invited to that by Ormonger. They had a base already started out called Royal Dynasty. It was basically remnants of Kinograd base. We had players like Warende, Dorkamata, Silver Crown King, Pony, Varga Gigs, like all these legendary old players that were left from the ruins of KGB came on Constantium, and we just built like huge bases. It's sad to think about how Royal Dynasty is gone, but it was one of the best bases to be at on Constantium at that time.
Yeah, I remember seeing videos of that, and not understanding what it was until I found out about Constanium a while later. It was a pretty huge base from what I saw.
Yeah, it was amazing. We had some of the biggest like lag machines, some of the biggest like sorters, redstone machines. Warmonger is seriously one of the best space mates I have ever had. And some of the other players there, like Varga, Giggs, Silver, and Pony, were also amazing. But many of those players also like Warrende, who came from um, Asgard too, and then eventually joined us at KGB, and then eventually at Royal Dynasty. Those players are truly some of the best also, and I just wish they would come back. But yeah, long story short, Q got really fucked. It wasn't until a couple months later when people began buying me Q that I came back for a little bit, but I didn't really do much aside from like sell items to retarded kids. Sell items and cords, which is pretty amazing. I know I bashed it earlier, but like who's gonna turn down making $100 off of like Valkyria cords?
Now, you said something earlier. Well, we almost started on the topic earlier, but I wanted to get into a bit more. Your perspective when I played of, because you had told me a while back that you and Canes, it was an inside joke this entire time. Go more into that, because I had no idea. This is all very recent to me, this knowledge.
Um, I think you introduced me to Kane's Law, and Kane's Law just told me you were just like some kid off the rails. But it was funny because like you also hated Sato, but you were friends with James, or not James, but Dr. Cash and Clyde. So I just went with it. I mean, you invited me to Shenandoah and eventually got me back into Valk, so there's that.
Wait,
And
I
a
was friends
couple
with
of times,
Dr. Cash and Clyde? What?
yeah, you don't remember?
I don't
That's how
remember.
I got them to
Yeah.
follow me around.
I don't remember even speaking to Clyde ever.
Oh,
Like,
really?
never ever. That's crazy. It's crazy
Yeah,
how much I've
you
forgotten
introduced
that
me
I've
to them.
done.
It was pretty funny.
But was Canes new during that time?
He was. From what I remember, he joined like a couple months before, maybe like 1 month before 3B3T came up.
Because
But
my history with Canes is kind of sad. Because I knew him from
yeah,
3B, and then I knew him on 2B briefly because I went to his base once with Exodus and Henry. And then the last time I encountered him, he lava tracked me outside of Jared's incursion base during the one of the incursions.
when was this, like 2015, 2016?
I think so. Yeah, around that time.
But yeah, basically like Kane's just told me to hang around him and his friend. Forget who his friend was, but it's someone he knows IRL.
Yeah, I think that was who we went to go see. Him and him, Canes and his friend's base. That was the base I found him on 2B. But
Yeah,
otherwise, yeah, he was one
from
of
what
my
I
first
remember,
allies.
that base was like found, and eventually people made like more videos about how his and his friends' bases keep getting found.
Yeah, that base we went to at the time, I thought was so far out, but it was really just like a million from Spawn overworld.
Yeah, get to like KKK or the lands.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, I was actually
nowadays,
invited to the
yeah,
lands, but I thought it was way too far. There was no way I was walking like 7 mil out.
yeah, nowadays, far as like world border,
Yeah,
I
who
could
builds
never
that?
walk that far, or not walk. I can never entity speed that far
It's kind of ridiculous. I mean,
because I don't have future.
what's the point of going out there, you know? Like,
Hmm.
all you're doing is playing single player unless you want to like entity speed for a whole week to get back to spawn or to the other edge of the map.
Yeah, that's how it was on 9B because the owner has a history of being kind of abusive throughout his time, but he teleported a few people out to 30 million, and everyone's thinking, man, this is gonna be so cool. We're never gonna get raided out here, but the base hasn't. It's been a dead base since they got teleported. I mean, there's nothing you do out there. You just build and brag about it on the sub.
Yeah, I kind of hate 9B90 and like 4B4T. They're really shitty ripoffs made by like irrelevant retards who joined in 2015.
4B, I can understand the hate for because it's like a soy version of 2B2T, with TPA and like colored names and stuff. They used to have that. They've reset their world like 5 times. But 9B, it holds up pretty well. It's been around for almost as long as Constantium has, and like
It's
the
still not a good reason for it to have shitty like faction plugins. And I
it
actually thought 9B9T had what do they have? They had Protect and they had TPA.
no, they didn't have any of that. They don't have factions either. They don't have any plugins on the server besides like essential ones like anti cheat and stuff.
All right, I'm probably getting mixed up with 4B4T then. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
4B is the one
joined
that's like
9B9T one time and it was just super cancer. It's like where the 2B2T rejects came that could not afford 2B2TQ.
no, I see
Like not
Constantium is
even
where all the 2B players went because I remember getting a Constantium a month ago and seeing people like Imgeron, who I haven't seen since like I was at Sleepy's Hollows. It's crazy.
well, Constantium is where like people from 2B2T came that joined before 2016. But seemingly 9B9T is like the opposite. It's where post 2016 new Jews go and like shit posts and pretend they're big players too.
Yes, that's why I play there. 9b9t.com, guys.
It's where you want to go if you want to get secondhand autism.
And if you want to get an autograph from the biggest player of all time, DrEnderPickles, because that's where I
You
play.
mean Drew Bookman?
Do I mean what?
You mean Drew Bookman?
Uh, no. Drew Bookman is the smallest player of all time. I don't know who that is. All I know is Ravillo. Only player I know. But yeah, I think this has been a pretty good interview, and I want to wrap it up
Hold on,
with
I still have one more thing to talk about.
okay,
So I want to tie up that loose end about earlier about how Asgard ties into Constantium.
okay. I'm excited to hear about this.
So you heard about Nexus, right? One of the biggest bases where we all came to be together. It was basically KGB 2.0 for Constantium.
I have somewhat heard about it.
So Silver Crown King makes this huge, amazing base. Like he gets all these members from Constantium, all the biggest known, best builders. He invites them to this base Nexus, and he also invites James Russell's and his Horizon crew to come and build. So yeah, we keep building for like I forget how long the base lasted. It was probably around 1 year that we had it up. Um, but yeah, it was just super incredible. We had Varga again gigs. We met a bunch of new people like that we've never heard of from Delphi and old base that got dumpstered as well. But I don't know what happened, but I guess like James just went on a power trip. He was super jealous that he was not the leader and Silver was the de facto leader. I mean, it made sense because Silver invited all these people to the base. But it gets to the point where he gets super mad, super jealous, super envious that he invites some of the other idiots that he plays with, like Fat Squire and Juke Police. So Juke Police is actually a pretty shitty builder and prides himself to be the ripoff of Ore. What he does is like, well, what he did at that base was basically spam melon blocks everywhere. And he would invade people's builds with melon blocks. And if you deleted just one, he would flip out. And it got to the point where, like maybe 4 or 5 times, he threatened to leak cords to the base, wither and TNT everything to a giant smoldering crater. And yeah, just for deleting one of his melon blocks. And we just all thought it was kind of ridiculous that James let this happen, you know? Like no one voted to have Juke Police in. And it has to be put to a vote like a majority of people have to agree to let this guy in. That didn't go through. He just came to our base. And yeah, we have to deal with all this like drama bullshit. Eventually the base falls. I don't know who leaked the cords, but I see in chat one day like Stone Crocodile talking about finding a base. I log in to see, oh shit, Stone Crocodile, how did he find us? There was another tunnel that no one knew who dug. It was like there, just automatically showed up one day. Stone Crocodile finds us. We have no traces whatsoever in the Nether, no traces in the overworld, and we never shared any base pics. So what I suspect is one of the Horizon people probably leaked the cords to the base. They wanted it gone. No one really played anymore. Everyone kind of moved on. And next day I see like Leonidas makes this post on Reddit. Hey guys, I know who did it. It was Drew Bookman, Silver Crown King, and Jetting. Here's the evidence I have on it. Drew Bookman was on while I was getting dumpstered. And I mean, I keep trying to tell him like, hey, I'm on. Help me defend the base. Like I'm PMing him frantically, trying to get a response from anyone because I know Giggs, Varga, and Leonidas AFK'd at the base. I'm like, hey guys, get out of here. Help me fight them at least or something. Like whatever. But instead of saying like, hey, Drew Bookman warned me to get off, no, what I see on the Reddit is I think Drew Bookman did it because he did Valk and he also was online at the time. That was it. Like, yeah, it was just crazy. Like, it turned out to be like a false flag to like leave the base, have everyone turn their backs on us, and basically start a new base, which is true because like what just happened recently with Aurora Seas and Baba J was
Yes,
pretty
yeah,
hilarious.
that is funny. The whole Maba J situation with Aurora
Yeah,
Seas that I heard about.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like the very day that this place falls is like the same day that Aurora Seas gets founded, like a couple days after Nexus falls. You know?
hmm Well, I'm glad that you cleared that up because I think that's what a lot of people liked about the last interview I did with Jared is that he cleared up a lot of stuff with tyranny that maybe Fit didn't address in his video or maybe that wasn't covered via the subreddits. It was
Yeah.
from a
I mean,
first-hand account, so that's good.
what's everyone gonna know? Like, I mean, I didn't even know most of these things about tyranny, and I found it interesting. I mean, of course, how is Silent Peter File gonna know about it? He wasn't in any big circles until like 2016.
He just gets this filtered blue pill, somewhat of a story from somebody that was probably not even involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. Looking at the video of KL that he did with Rusher.
And his recent video was totally based off of assumptions that he asked random people about how Baba J was able to find bases using a coordinate exploit. He quote unquote pieced together evidence that he got from other players on the server. Just went around asking different people as if they knew anything about what was happening.
Yeah,
So
he asked like a bunch of irrelevant people, and you have like a bunch of idiots on the Reddit and the Discord who are complaining about impact backdoors. Like, if that actually happened, that'd be the dumbest thing ever because, first of all, Baba J and Ox22 would get sued. They would lose all their money. They would go bankrupt. Like, that is the single dumbest thing ever, And I mean, what are you going to gain out of asking like some paranoid, retarded new kids that have no idea how any of this stuff works?
he gets a video and money.
Well, that's yeah, very
I don't
true.
I don't
You've
get
got to do
monetized.
anything when your channel is dying.
Exactly. You got to scrape up whatever slivers of 2B2T action there is. It's the whole reason
I
Russia
haven't
came in the
watched
first
his
place.
videos.
Had to
Yeah, I
get
haven't watched his
the
videos since like the first time or the first video that he did. But looking at the thumbnails, they're pretty ridiculous. Like, hey guys, watch me vote for 4 hours or whatever.
Oh yeah, and most of his stuff is real so clickbaity too. Like he'll have like really like dark and serious titles like "This is the end of 2B2T." This is the This is the game-ending exploit of 2B2T, and it's nothing. It's just assumptions. It's based on no fact.
Yeah, you have all these like supposed exploits, but people keep making new bases.
Yes, yes. I mean, well, I'm waiting till 1.13 to make a new base, regardless on 2B2T, because you know how that chunk generation is going to work with chunk borders and whatnot. So I want to be able to work in just also work in 1.13 terrain because I think it's going to be really nice. But all right, I want to wrap up this interview with what I wanted to start this interview with, which was your Peter the Pedo roast of Peter, little Peter. I want you to go ahead and all your Fit MC quips, goofs, and gaffs.
Yeah, for sure. Direct shots to Peter the pedophile.
Yes, this is your
So
public stage to do so.
yeah, this is straight to you, Peter. I know you're gonna have James and a bunch of other idiots help defend you, like you did in the Reddit or on the Discord where you had me banned. I actually have no roast except for like Millimeter Peter. What else is there? Like that one time when Peter was so drunk that he tiny chatted me about his HGH and steroid use. What else? Damn, dude. It would suck to be as short as Peter. It's like you're a roided out dude, but you're like the height of a child. The
Well, I mean
eternal roided manlet.
that's who he works with too, and who he's interested in.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's not just a
Um,
job. It's not just a job for him.
Also, why do I get silenced every time I bring up the party he went to with Rusher, where he was drinking with minors? It's like, do you really have to hide the fact that you went drinking with high schoolers?
I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, Peter's basically in high school, right?
Basically, yeah, that's true. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Peter's only like what, 17 years old.
Silent Peter file.
It's
Actually, he's
totally not
28
like,
years
yeah.
old,
As I
but
say,
the
totally
height of a
not.
17.
Yeah. All right. So I think that concludes our cringeworthy interview.
Thanks
Uh,
for having me on.
yes, yes, always.
I can't wait to
Hopefully,
see it.
I can't wait to never look at this again.
Hey, can I actually get a shout out for my Discord? I want to have people join my Constantium chat, fun for the whole family.
I will
Guys,
link
go ahead
it.
and join.
I will plug it
Sweet.
into the description like I did yours,
Hell
channel.
yeah.
But yeah. So
Play on Constantium, you guys. It's really fun. Go to Spawn where I can kill you.
Hopefully
Please.
next time I can get you and XOXP on here because I think that'd be funny too.
Oh, XOXP is so awesome. I think it would be amazing.
Yes.
We would do the eternal roast of dumb Constantium players.
And next week or next, actually I don't have a set schedule because I'm not that organized. Next time I have the show on, I'm gonna bring on Jooms Russells himself because he was supposed to be on this one, but
Big Ben out for blood.
couldn't have him on. So I'm gonna have him on next time, and then I'm gonna have Drew back on, and it's gonna be this big war of opinions, war of perspective. James versus
Just remember,
Drew.
you guys, James Russell's paid 500 USD to a rock paper shotgun writer to say he's an old fag.
All right. Well, this has been a really good interview. I'm signing out. Goodbye, everybody.
See y'all.
Stay small.
Stay frosty.
And stay fit MC.